whenever you like.
Well, boys, I'd like to tell you when we left the old country. Well, I was born in Yorkshire there in 1895. And we came out on the Ionian, left Liverpool, and 10 days coming across to get to Halifax. And 7 days from there to Keefers on the train. And that's all there was then, a CPR train, no highway across the river or no CNR yet. But there was an Indian settlement over at Boothroyd. And the chief, Billy Obregon, he was named chief then, and Billy Obregon and Billy Jackass used to come over to Keefers when we went to school there, my brother and I. The boys that was already at Keefers, they were born there, so they couldn't tell him nothing about the old country. So he would ask us all kinds of questions about England and that. And he told us about when he was a water boy for the Braves. He thought he was around about 1859 when the Indians and the Shama, they call him, that's the white man, they fought a battle at Jackass Mountain for 10 days, and he was a water boy then. And he said the Shama catch him and take him home one night, and he didn't know what they were going to do with him. He couldn't speak English yet. So he said, they filled him full of something to drink, and he said he went to sleep, and the next morning they took him and let him go home again. So that would be quite a while before they built the CPR, actually, wouldn't it? So nowadays, of course, it's different. They used to come across the river them days on the rowboat. Oh, that's all there was, across the Fraser there at Keefers. And they used to come over every recess for weeks just to talk to Sid and I, my brother. We were going to school there then. So that's...
yeah, Harry, you used to talk to the fellow you used to call the Jackass, right?
Yeah, well, Billy Jackass said that the name was called after him. But the Shama say, what's your name? He didn't know then what they meant, but they said, oh, we call you Billy Jackass. So he said, that's how I got my name.
And he was a water boy, and you were telling me before about the pies.
Ready?
Yeah.
Well, Billy Jackass and the chief, of course, Billy Obregon, they told us how they used to poison the white man by poisoning the water in the creeks. But they didn't have any chance with a bow and arrow against a long rifle, so it only lasted 10 days. Lots of Shama, lots of chiefs, lots of Indians go down the river. When one got shot or killed, they just throw him in the Fraser, which they did. So, of course, that's quite a while ago. I guess they don't do that anymore now.
So what did the Indians call the white man then?
The Shama.
Shama?
The Shama was a white man.
Shama.
He's still a Shama, S-H-A-M-A. Oh, that's still that way.
Yeah.
These Indians call me a Shama. They normally since they were kids. The kids don't know, they can't even spell it. Their fathers and mothers that I knew, they always called us the Shama. There are two hotels here, CPR Hotel and the other one, the Mountain Hotel. But it was, if you said Mountain Hotel, nobody would know who you meant. But if you said the Pig's Ear, then they would know. It was generally known as the Pig's Ear. Well, there wasn't a great deal of business. There was commercial travel come down again. There were several trains then, I've seen 5 trains out of Vancouver, in and out. One used to leave in the morning at 8 o'clock. And
so would there be tourists up here?
Well, not very many tourists, not many people in the country. Somebody looking for 10 cents an hour job, actually.
Yeah.
But the CPR Hotel over there, it was for the Helite. And, but the other one known as the Pig's Ear, well, it was a bit cheaper, like.
Yeah.
And those days they didn't have a dining car on there yet. So that all these divisional points, North Bend and Revelstoke, Field, they stayed 1 hour for people to get their dinner at the hotel. And that's the way it was here then. That's the CPR Hotel. And the other hotel was for us working stiffs, not making much wages and getting it a lot cheaper over there.
Yeah.
But there was they drew quite a line there between the rich and the poor, just like they do now, I guess, as far as that goes. But you could always go out in the country and shoot a deer or a rabbit or a grouse up around here to Chomuks. Oh, the bush was full of them, and it was. But it's not that way now, of course, more people come here, kids with 22s, and there's hardly any now, I presume. I never get out there anymore.
What was your first job then when you came out here?
Well, the first time I was in 1911. I went on the railway at Kanaka in a mason gang. We were putting retaining walls in along the track. Some of them still standing there. Well, all of them are. And there was 7 mason gangs between Kamloops and Vancouver on the CB then, putting these retaining walls in, where previously, where they built the railroad, they built all wooden track around. So all they did was fill them in and then build a retaining wall that is still there now, as you know them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And with those retaining walls, you would have the old masons, I suppose,
we
of
had,
Scotland or Ireland, perhaps.
Yes, of course. Yes, we had in the gang I was in, Mr. McLennan, an old Scotsman come out when they built the railroad. He was boss. And we had 2 stone masons from the old country. I think there was nephews of his, I think, and another Jack McKay. He was another cousin on the other side of the fence, but he was the carpenter. So there was about a dozen men in the gang altogether, half a dozen labourers, 2 bits an hour. I'm glad to get it. Cook? Oh yes, with a pigtail. Well, that was easy. We had what they called a couple of ferrules and a wedge. And the stonemason would dig in with his little round chisel, bang, 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 turn it around. And when the hole got down about 3 inches, he'd put 2 ferrules in, one like on each side of the hole, and then the wedge in the centre of the hole. And he'd do that every 8 inches apart. That used to be my job, to tap them, actually. Not hit them, just let the hammer do it. And about 8 inches apart, or sometimes 16 feet long. And it would take an hour or 2 to split this wedge off. But when he got all these ferrules and wedges in ready, it was my job to just let the hammer tap it. Just the weight of it. Don't hit it too hard. And go along all the way along. And then come back and do it all over again. And sometimes it took 3 or 4 hours, then they just peel off like a piece of cheese. That's right. So they had 7 gangs then until about 1912, I guess it was. They laid them all off again. They got the job done, you see. So
you did masonry work.
Yes.
Did you ever work on the rail itself?
Well, after I worked on that for a year and 4 months, I came here to North Bend and went in the shop wiping, to get a job firing eventually.
Yeah.
But promotion was very slow from there on. See, there'd been quite a bit of promotion from 1900 to 1910 or so, but not much after that. Then you see, when I went over in the shop when I was 17, 15 cents an hour, I got 2 bits an hour in the gang, so I really lowered my pay. And anyway, no promotion. I wiped here for 4 years in the roundhouse before I was set up as a fireman. And by that time, you see, the war was on. And they didn't have conscription until the following year. Then the next year, that conscription put me in the army. So I transferred out of the army. Well, first of all, they notified me I'd been past the doctor.
What year was this again?
This would be 1918.
1918.
Yes. See, I was working spare over it.
Sure.
And so I thought, they notified me after I'd passed the doctor, in Kamloops. They let me know when they wanted me. So I got a letter shortly and saying to be ready for a call in the army. So I thought, oh, is that so? I'll see about that. I went down to Victoria and joined the Navy as a stoker because I'd been firing here. They put me in there as a first-class stoker. So now he says you'll have to go to the army now in the Willows and get a discharge. Oh, I said, go to the army? I'm joining the Navy to keep out of the army. Well, he said, you're not the only one. But he said, it's got to be done. So sent me to the army in the Willows. I was there for 10 days, getting a discharge. Go back to the Navy. And then that very day, when I come back to the Navy in Esquimalt, they said, we need you in Halifax. So I went with 150 men on the train the next night to Halifax for work in the North Atlantic. See, so I moved fast when I moved. But I kept out of that army anyway. That's one thing I did do.
Yeah.
No, I was on trawler number 23 for about a year and a half until the war was over, escorting convoys to the old country.
What would a trawler be doing back then? This is getting off the subject of railroading, but I'm wondering, would that be anti-mine or?
No, we had a gun. I don't know if it would kill a grasshopper or not, but anyway, you could shoot it a few yards. However, we had mines that we could drop off, and that's what the sub didn't like, is a mine. If you get on top of him, he gets one down there, he'd break all his wires. So they tell us this. So anyway, I was on Trawler 23 until February after the war was over in November. And then I started home from Halifax to Victoria by way of the Panama Canal. So we did fine. We got out of Bermuda in 6 days, stayed there a week, over to Jamaica, stayed a week there, and then over to the canal. We didn't stop at Colon, that's the eastern entrance. But we stopped at Panama for a week, had another week there. All them places in Mexico, Mazatlan, Manzanilla, Acapulco. We got up to San Diego. We were not going to stop in Frisco. We were eyeballed there. We were on the way to Victoria by the 24th of May celebration. However, when we got out of Frisco, we could see the sights, see the lights, and a hell of a storm broke out. And the boat I was on, the Stadacona, was the one I was coming home on, you see. We lost the stern post and the rudder. And of course you couldn't see the ship then. And it took the other two trawlers, the Amateurs and the Da Vinci. We had 3 more trawlers with us, you see. And these two got all wireless, came out to find us. It took them 48 hours in the Pacific to find us. It was 700 miles out. And we didn't figure on coming back, mind you. Every dive we figured was the last. But she steadied for some reason. See, we couldn't steer the ship. We had steam and power, but you couldn't keep it headed to the storm. So anyway, I guess the old man upstairs was looking after us.
Yeah.
He must have been.
Got you home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what?
Then these two, when the Amateur and the Da Vinci picked us up after 48 hours, and they towed us back into San Francisco and put us in dry dock. And we were there for 10 weeks, waiting to get a new stern post and rudder. Well, we got one in about a month or so. It wouldn't fit, so they sent for another one, way down east someplace. I guess just a money deal, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get home until August after the war then. See, they don't discharge until you get back to your home port. So, same old story. Then I came back to railroading again.
By this time you'd gained some seniority as a
I lost more senior than
You lost it.
A lot more men to come back from the war. And no promotion. Nobody knows. I worked spare for 20 years. All over BC. Yeah, you know, Vancouver, Kamloops, North Bend, Revelstoke, Field, and all them places, Cranbrook, Nelson. And just for 20 years I was a spare fireman, frankly. So...
was that the old coke and coal and stuff?
Oh, it's all coal burners then, all on-fire engines, except Revelstoke is running oil on the east end. The oil on the east end and coal on the west for a few years. See, as they got bigger engines on the east, they put them on the west end. Tonnage, you see. So, now I've been off 33 years. I think I'll start all over again.
That's a good idea. Okay, well, thanks very much, Harry. That's really good. And could you, it's Harry, but I'm new to this area. Could you just kind of explain Harry and what your last name is?
Harry Lee.
Harry Lee. Well, that's easy enough. And came out from England in what, 1907, and retired 33 years ago off CP Rail.
1956.
1956.
61 at the time.
Good for you. Okay, thanks very much, Harry. What we're going to do is go and...
94, I'm going to start all over again. I got a new girlfriend.
94 and do it again.
2 weeks.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Cheating on me, Harry.
Thank you.
Yeah.